American Warriors in the Ring represents far more than punches thrown and belts won. It is the story of a nation that transformed boxing into a global spectacle, a ruthless proving ground where courage, discipline, pain, sacrifice, and glory collide under blinding lights, roaring crowds, and the weight of expectation, as the rise of USA boxing is deeply rooted in the streets, gyms, and generations that molded fighters into legends, beginning in gritty neighborhoods where boxing was not just a sport but a lifeline, a way out, a dream forged through sweat-soaked gloves and cracked knuckles, where young men and women learned early that survival required heart as much as skill, and from these humble beginnings emerged a uniquely American boxing identity built on aggression, resilience, showmanship, and an unbreakable will to win, an identity that evolved through eras, from the bare-knuckle spirit of early champions to the golden age of heavyweights who defined global dominance, when names like Jack Johnson shattered racial barriers and rewrote history with defiance and brilliance, proving that boxing could challenge social norms as fiercely as it challenged opponents in the ring, paving the way for Joe Louis, whose calm power and national symbolism during turbulent times made him not only a champion but a hero, a unifying force in a divided nation, as his fists carried the hopes of millions and his victories echoed far beyond the ropes. Then came the explosion of charisma, controversy, and unmatched genius with Muhammad Ali, a man who transcended boxing to become a cultural icon, whose speed, wit, courage, and refusal to be silenced turned every fight into a global event, elevating American boxing to unprecedented heights while inspiring generations with his fearless individuality, proving that warriors could be thinkers, poets, and activists, all while dancing under fire and defeating giants. And as the heavyweight throne continued to change hands, the rise of USA boxing expanded across divisions, showcasing technical masters, relentless pressure fighters, and knockout artists who each carried the American flag into international arenas. Fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson, whose elegance redefined perfection, Sugar Ray Leonard, whose adaptability embodied brilliance, Marvin Hagler, whose granite chin and savage intensity symbolized warrior spirit, and Thomas Hearns, whose lethal reach turned distance into devastation, forming rivalries that electrified the world and demonstrated how American boxing thrived on competition, narrative, and high-stakes drama, while the sport's infrastructure grew stronger through iconic gyms like Kronk, Gleason's, and Wild Card, where legendary trainers forged champions by blending old-school discipline with modern science, teaching fighters not just how to punch, but how to think, endure, and dominate. As television and pay-per-view transformed American boxing into a billion-dollar entertainment industry, creating superstars whose fights became cultural moments, from Las Vegas mega events to Madison Square Garden nights steeped in history, where lights, music, and spectacle amplified the warrior mythos, and through triumph and tragedy, USA boxing continued to evolve, producing polarizing figures like Mike Tyson, whose raw power, ferocity, and troubled genius embodied both the promise and peril of greatness, a reminder that warriors are human, vulnerable to their own demons, yet capable of terrifying brilliance that leaves permanent marks on the sport's memory. And as the new millennium arrived, American boxing faced challenges from global competition and changing entertainment tastes, but the warrior spirit never faded, instead adapting, reinventing itself through disciplined technicians, explosive counterpunches, and charismatic personalities who understood that modern boxing required both skill and storytelling. Fighters like Floyd Mayweather Jr., whose defensive mastery and business acumen redefined success, proving that intelligence, precision, and self-belief could dominate brute force. While controversial yet undeniably effective, he carried USA boxing into a new era of strategic brilliance and financial empowerment, inspiring future fighters to think beyond the ring. As American warriors continued to rise in multiple weight classes, blending speed, athleticism, and grit, showcasing styles that reflected the nation's diversity, drawing from different backgrounds, cultures, and philosophies, uniting them under one banner of relentless ambition, where every fighter, from amateur circuits to world champions, carried the dream of legacy, the hunger to prove themselves on the biggest stage, and the understanding that American boxing is built on constant pressure to perform, to entertain, and to overcome adversity. As modern stars reignited excitement with explosive performances, dramatic knockouts, and viral moments that spread across social media, bringing boxing to new generations while honoring the past, reminding fans that USA boxing is not a relic but a living, breathing battlefield where warriors are still forged, still tested, and still celebrated, where each fight is a chapter in an ongoing saga of pride, resilience, and evolution. As the rise of USA boxing continues not just through champions but through the system itself, grassroots programs, amateur tournaments, Olympic pathways, and community gyms that nurture raw talent into disciplined warriors, ensuring that the future remains as fierce as the past. Because American warriors in the ring are more than athletes, they are storytellers of pain and perseverance, embodiments of hope and hunger, reflections of a nation that values courage under fire and refuses to back down. And as long as fists fly, crowds roar, and dreams burn bright beneath the lights, the rise of USA boxing will continue, driven by warriors who understand that greatness is earned one round at a time, written in sweat, sealed in sacrifice, and remembered forever in the echo of the final bell.